Hey guys, welcome back in. So, as you might have guessed, I got my survivor killed because I am stupid. Again, it's always my stupidity that gets these guys killed and overconfidence, which in this game seem to be the same thing. The day started slow. I made some more meals, did the laundry, I started reading the book that I had hunted down previously, and I hung out with my gnome. As I said, or as I thought previously, life was good. The hallucinations were starting to get on my nerves. My survivor was hallucinating zombies in her house, screaming her head off. She was hearing people breaking windows and doors being banged on, and, it was starting to annoy me. I had to do something about it. Without thinking too much about a strategy or how I would deal with the mission, I left my house in a hurry. My destination was the hospital. I needed those antipsychotics, and that became my new goal. This game can get boring if you don't have goals, so I'm constantly thinking of new places to explore and loot. In fact, in future playthroughs, I plan on turning loot rarity down and starting in the middle of nowhere. The city slicker life just ain't for me, and unfortunately for the survivor, it wasn't for her either. I remember reading a quote from Miyazaki, the guy behind Dark Souls. Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. He said he wanted to make death meaningful in his games. And this is how I often feel about Project Zomboid. After that tragic end to my new series, I fooled around a bit with new ideas, trying to come up with something cool. I have this mod that allows you to spawn in random places, including the Rosewood Prison, tall buildings, and hospitals or schools, but one interesting place you can spawn is in a wreck or on the side of the road. I found this kind of interesting and I wanted to try it. I haven't done a run where I lived outside the city, relied on the land, and built up a fort from scratch, and I kind of want to try it. And before I get into the story, I just want to make it clear how often I find myself in the small town of Ekron. Or maybe it's not called Ekron, I don't know. That's what the spawn location is, but someone said the official name is completely different. Either way, it's this small rural town right here. I noticed that there always seems to be a truck parked at the far end of the town, as if it is blocking the road from zombies that can and very easily walk around it. However, I have blown through here before, and that barrier truck wasn't there, so I think it's a randomized event. Either way, this part of the map has previously been ignored by me, and West Point, because West Point is somehow more dangerous than Louisville, and you can't change my mind on that. I've survived literally 2 minutes every time I spawn in West Point. Anyway, I feel like the game always sends me here by fate. In one save, my base is just down the road, near the Poniorama. In another, I'm based up at the gas station on the edge of town. And in yet another, I had to drive across 3 towns, including this one, just to find the generator manual I needed. And guess what? I finally found it in Rosewood, which is great. Even greater is that one was on the shelf in a house right around the corner from the Poniorama, and I had just, told myself, oh, I'll check that house later. And you could imagine my Pikachu face when I finally did get around to looting it and found that there was a generator manual right there. And those are just the runs where I survived, by the way. I don't want to talk about all the times I died doing something stupid in or around Ekron. Now that you know my history with this hidden gem, because it is a gem, let's get into it. On the one hand, it's a great place to loot when you're on this side of the map and not willing to go back to the more populated areas. There is a bookstore, a hardware store, a general store, a farming store, and a medical clinic, and of course, a 2-story gas station with a ton of boxes in the back for you to paw your post-apocalyptic hands through. And this isn't even to mention all the houses. The population here is low. Maybe about 150 to 300. All I know is that I've wiped this entire town out in many saves, and it makes for a great base location. So, welcome to Adventuring Through Knox County. I started off using the same build I always do because, frankly, I cannot give up the speed and strength of this burglar build. Burglar, gymnast, handy. I chose handy because I assumed I'd be building up my own fort in the wilderness. Runner. What I build around is sneaking, light-footed, and nimble. I've tried playing a non-nimble boosted character, and I hated how slow they are. Starting out with 3 and nimble is almost like cheating, I swear. You can pretty much outpace zombies while moving backwards and only need to reset a few times. Without this, all of my survivors would die within the first day or two. And also without multi-hit, though I do have one save without using it that I am doing alright in, but I feel like I'm going to die any moment. Anyway, I woke up in the woods next to a gas station in Muldra. This area is one of 2 places I kept waking up when trying the Knox County Rex. As I exited the forest, I spotted a few zombies and an RV. I've had the RV interior mod installed for a while, but this is the first time I'd ever come across one in the game. I guess RVs are pretty rare, and finding one that you can even use with this mod is even rarer, so I've heard. So what I'm saying is this was an amazing find, and I got super excited. I instantly got ideas, checking the vehicle and finding it was in good condition, and it was only missing gas. It didn't take me long to wander and find a vehicle with gas I can siphon, and of course, it had an empty gas can in the trunk. It's like the game intended for me to have this RV. Not only that, but there was a gas station right there. If I could get the zombies in the area taken care of and get this RV started, I'd be on my way. Now, I've been known to make very, very stupid decisions in this game, but seeing this boon right away made me actually put some thought into my next moves. I assessed the zombie population, readied whatever weapons I have, and I began with a starter kit so I could have a bottle of water and a bat. And listen, man, starting off on the side of the road is hard. I needed some kind of help, okay? Don't judge me. I got ready to take down everything surrounding my new godsend. I wiped up the zombies, then assessed my new home. It was pretty amazing. A stove, a microwave, TV, fridge, home sweet home on wheels. I knew the power worked on battery, meaning I'd have to eventually find a generator, a battery charger, preferably both, along with a generator manual. However, I figured that was a problem to be dealt with in the long run. And as if I was going to make it that far anyway. First, I needed to get supplies and head to Ekron, where I could get what was necessary to survive. Now that I had the RV, I wasn't worried about electricity. I had a home on wheels that I could drive to the edge of society, the abandoned towns and farms in the middle of nowhere. You don't need all those luxuries, just you, the open road, the thoughts of your eventual and likely violent end. You know, road trip. This was one of the first times I didn't prioritize watching TV and reading books to gain skills. I just wanted to go with the flow. When I got to the gas station, I was rudely reminded that this is a zombie game and I had woken up in a densely packed area. Being the coward I am, I rounded the zombies up, led them away, then went about my business. I needed cigarettes, so I headed up to the popular four-way near Muldra, where there's a Spiffos, a clothing store, and of course, a gas to go, where you can always get smokes, lighters, fattening snacks. I know it's a bad idea to take the underweight trait, but man, I needed a lot of points to get the exact build I wanted, so eating Plunkies, Hi-Hi's, and every type of ice cream I came across was pertinent and peak gameplay. From here, I headed out to Ekron. Here's a funny thing I didn't consider. When your character is too panicked, they can't sleep. Without alcohol, beta blockers, or sleep meds, they simply will not go to sleep. Guess who gave their character the claustrophobic trait because they thought it would be smart? Me. Guess who can't sleep in the interior of the RV? Me. This caused me to get super tired, and I eventually had to sleep in the RV driver's seat on the side of the road. And I swear, this bitch slept for like 14 hours. Back on the road, I came across a few wrecks, finding gas cans, cigarettes, a weapon or two. The vehicle scenes were aplenty this run, something I couldn't complain about. I pulled into the Ekron gas station, and as you might have guessed, shit went down. I fought a lot of zombies. Just the other day, I was telling Josh that it's never easy at gas stations in this game. If you are trying to get gas, it is never just, I'm going to get gas. You need to prepare, and it might take all day. It could take hours. Getting gas in this game has got to be one of the ways that newbies die in this game. It's got to be one of the top ways newbies die in this game. I know I died at gas. I'm still a noob, okay? I still die at gas stations, and I'm just saying, it's got to be one of the top ways that new players die. After everything was said and done, I stupidly slept in my RV, getting corpse sickness. Luckily, it went away after I took refuge in the apartment above the gas station, but just for the record, don't sleep in your car on top of bodies. I'm sure most of you know this, but some people don't. It's just one of a million dumb ways to die in this game. And before I did it, I knew about it, right? And I still did it. So just don't catch yourself slipping, basically, is what I'm saying. After successfully making the Ekron gas station mine, I noticed I was amassing a small fortune in the RV. I loved how lucky I'd gotten at the run. And furthermore, I still had this entire town at my disposal. I had to hit the hardware store, the general store, possibly the bookstore if I had time, though this wasn't really a priority, and the medical center, and most importantly, the bar. Beta blockers, sleep meds, and alcohol would make it so I could enjoy the interior of my RV and actually sleep. For the record, I normally pick agoraphobic because, to be frank, that's just me in real life, and it seems like free points. If you live long enough, the constant panic while outside goes away. It's why a lot of people will pick things like cowardly and agoraphobic. I don't know why I chose claustrophobic for this run. I truly hadn't considered the consequences, but basically I was like, oh, well, I think being panicked outside affects your combat, so maybe I'll pick claustrophobic so I'll only be panicked inside, and I'll see how much better my combat abilities are. Except, I didn't consider that you can't sleep when you're panicked. Getting to the hardware store was much more difficult than anticipated. I knew there'd be a lot of zombies, but this horde was massive. I rounded up as many of them together as I could, then got to work. There were far too many of them, and my nightstick was not cutting it. When I got exhausted, I pulled the plug on the operation and drove out of town. I spent the night in the RV, reading some skill books, watching TV, and hearing horrifying hallucinations. Seriously, the Schizophrenia trait mod is not free points. I know I previously thought it was, but the hallucinations have a tendency to, they can get you killed depending on when they happen. Like when you see a fake zombie, it makes you drop your weapon. If that happens when you're fighting a horde, which has happened to me while I was fighting a horde, you're fucked. Good luck getting back that weapon, especially if it's your only weapon. And one thing I'd like to note is that if you take the hard of hearing trait and the Schizophrenia trait, it does make hallucinations more obvious because they're louder. However, it doesn't stop the interruption that it has while you're doing so. Also, it's becoming increasingly hard to identify whether or not the alarms going off are real or hallucinated because my character's constantly panicked, so I can't tell. The next morning, I got my shit together and headed right back into town. I was getting into that hardware store, no matter fucking what. After taking on this horde and almost dying a bunch of times, I do not set the zombies right and this can result in getting fucked if you don't move quick enough, I finally got into the store. I was disappointed in not finding a crowbar, but what can you do? You win some, you lose some. I got what I needed and headed to the general store to stockpile whatever orange soda, candy, and bottles of water they had. As I said, I was amassing a looter's paradise within the RV. I was seriously running out of room. Everything was going well, until I got greedy. I could have returned to the gas station to watch some shows, read a few books, to chill, but I wanted the liquor. I had taken out the main strip of this town. I deserved some bourbon, didn't I? At this point, I think we are all familiar with getting greedy, stepping into a situation you weren't mentally prepared for, and panicking, which ultimately results in your death. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how I died. I panicked and couldn't figure out the controls, and ran in circles until I fell on the ground and got eaten alive. All that for a damn drink. And just for the record, I later found out the controller fucked up. Playing this game with the controller has gotten me killed more times than me just doing stupid shit, I swear to God, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Given the good luck that I'd had in this run, I wasn't willing to give up and called in the next incarnation. This one wears pants, so you know she meant business. Fortunately, I could spawn right in Ekron, so that's what I did, immediately heading down to the bar. While Survivor 1 was busy dying, I noticed the zombies who had spawned inside the bar were survivors themselves. They had backpacks, weapons, possibly food, all things I wanted to get my grubby hands on to add to my gold mine in the RV. I lured the zombies out, including my former self, and took care of them. The best part about killing your last survivor is taking all their shit, honestly. It's very existential in a Nier Automata type of way, but I digress. I got what I needed and headed out of town, stumbling upon a survivor home. At this point, I had a few baseball bats, lots of hammers and screwdrivers, a crowbar, 2 machetes. I was set for the long haul. I was sad about losing that first survivor, but hell, that's Project Zomboid for ya. Then the game crashed. Okay, fine. I restarted, it crashed again. The game began duplicating items, but it also began to remove items. Suddenly, the cache of goods I had amassed were being taken from me one by one. Every crash caused more mayhem, and in the end, I lost it all. I didn't record this, but I stepped out of the RV. Not only did I exit in a place I hadn't parked, but the entire RV itself disappeared into thin air, with everything I had inside of it. My bags, my books, my endless supply of water and orange soda, all gone because of a glitch. Moral of the story? Don't let the game fool you into thinking you're ahead. I checked online and found out the RV interior mod tends to act up. Fair enough. I've since removed the mod, and I'm not sure if I'll continue that save. Losing everything sucked. However, there is still an entire map to explore. Not only that, but I do still have a machete in my gas mask, so that's cool. But when you lose everything to a glitch and not because of something you did, that hurts worse, you know? It's really just demoralizing. As you may have guessed, I have a few ideas cooking up. I'd like to explore the entire map, but without the issue of an RV mod glitching up the entire save. And I'd also like to do silly stuff. The other day, I used the spawning mod to start off in a tall building. Usually, you will start on the 3rd or 4th floor of a building, and since there aren't that many tall buildings in the game, you almost always spawn in Louisville. In fact, I don't think it's ever had me spawn anywhere else. I was trying to see how long I could survive in a single apartment complex in the game. A silly idea, but honestly, if the end of the world happened and I lived in a tall apartment building, I don't know, there's a chance I'd just stay there until I died, especially if I had video games to occupy my time. I'm not exactly a proactive person, is what I'm saying. I tried this a few times. One time, even spawning above a pawn shop, which was tits, but I got bit while walking up the stairs. And again, I really hate dying to dumb shit in this game, but I can blame the stair issue on myself because I just wasn't prepared. I just ran up the stairs willy-nilly. I've also got the save with the original Ekron Liberator. I call her the Atomic Bunny because she's got the gas mask and the ears. She's pretty well set up with an isolated base, a generator, lots of food. She's in it for the long term. However, I'm not against uprooting her for more exploration. There's a part of the map I've never seen. I guess it is a newish town that requires a sledgehammer to get into. Sledgehammers are hard to come by, but I get the feeling if I raid enough places, I will find one. In one of my previous videos, someone suggested I try using guns. Well, I did that, and it ended badly. However, I discovered this cool mod that adds the FBI agent career. With that, you get awesome perks like boost in aiming, sprinting, and sneaking. I feel like this adds an extra layer for people who are really into role-playing. It's cool starting in Louisville as an FBI agent thrown into the apocalypse, In one of my games, I've wound up at a secluded rest stop area close to an abandoned town. It's right beside the river, has a low zombie population, unless you're playing on high or very high, and it isn't too far from the new town I eventually want to visit. I'm not sure if I'll ever find a sledgehammer, but if I do, I plan on breaking down that fence and finally seeing this new town. A couple of doors have closed, legacies have ended, but I think we all know the real hero of this entire series, Gnome Boyfriend. Thanks for watching.
So I'm hard of hearing, so yeah. That's just something to be aware of. It does make the game, it's free points in my opinion. Like, yeah, it's a little more difficult, but I'm